guys, welcome back to my channel. I have been long overdue for a video. Just gonna give you guys a heads up. As you can see, my baby is literally on my shoulder and he has not let me do anything today, but I've been wanting to film for the longest time. And I was gonna get all prettied up today to make this video, but this is real life, guys. He didn't even let me do my makeup. So I thought, hey, I just gotta do this because as I said, we have been long overdue and there's so many things I'd like to talk to you guys about. So I'm planning to make 2 videos. Hopefully that happens. I haven't been on YouTube for probably about a month now. And it's just real life, guys. With a newborn, it's really hard to do a lot of things, especially if your baby does not like anything but your arms. So with that being said, let's get started. So this video today, we're going to be talking about like labor and delivery, my story, how it went, what happened, and what didn't happen, because I honestly feel like I was expecting a lot and things didn't happen the way I wanted them to. So if you've watched my videos, I'll try to link it up here somewhere. I have a video about being induced at 37 weeks. I talk about what happened and everything. So I was induced at 37 weeks. And so with that being said, they needed to give me Pitocin and pretty much induced labor. Pitocin is a form of way to induce labor, and so what ended up happening is that they needed to induce me. That wasn't planned, as far as like I thought I was gonna go 40 weeks with the baby. Pretty much I needed to get induced like 2 weeks way before 37 weeks, but my husband and I ended up kind of delaying it because we didn't want the baby to have a shot for his lungs, because their lungs haven't developed before the 37 weeks. And so pretty much my arm's tired, by the way. You don't get used to this. Pretty much we didn't want him to have to get the shot for his lungs, because we wanted his lungs to fully develop, and we didn't want to have a preemie. If we were to be induced before the 37 weeks, he would have been a preemie. So we waited. We kind of took like our risks and our chances and stuff like that. And it was really scary for those weeks. I literally was going to the doctors every other day to get him checked, because obviously they can't force me to have the baby if I say no. So they just kept telling me, like, I think you should have the baby. I think you should already get induced. And so going into being induced, I was already a few centimeters dilated. I want to say I was 2 centimeters dilated going into me being induced. I thought that was awesome, because even the day before I got induced, I was still very, very active. I was still walking. I was trying to walk a mile. It was really hard for me because I ended up getting really, really swollen for my pregnancy, and whoa, even after, my goodness. So I ended up getting really swollen to the point that my shoes were no longer fitting, and thank God I was pregnant in the summer, because sandals came in handy. I have no idea what I would have done had I had to have been pregnant in the winter, because obviously it's cold, so you have to wear more clothes. And I know a lot of people complain about being pregnant in the summer, but to be honest, I didn't mind it at all. I didn't feel like any hotter or frustrated of my belly or anything like that. So I was 2 centimeters dilated when I was gonna be induced, and so I really thought in my head, oh my goodness, this is gonna be easy. Like, I'm gonna probably dilate so quick, especially with the Pitocin, and here we go, right? Well, the problem with being induced early is that your body isn't naturally ready to give labor. Obviously, he was 37 weeks. I still had 3 weeks left, sometimes even 1 more week, because babies could be born at 41 weeks. Who knows, you know? So I ended up dilating up to 8 centimeters on my own before the epidural. I really, really wanted to endure as much as I could. And the only reason why I ended up getting the epidural was because there was no progress after the 8 centimeters and I could not take it. The doctors told me that they could be another day before I would have this baby. And I thought to myself, holy cow, I am not about to continue to do this. I have no idea, like, if I'm going to continue, if I'm going to get to the 9 centimeters. Nothing, right? And the only way I can honestly compare for those that haven't had a baby, for a contraction really is, I have really, really heavy periods and I can only compare it to a cramp. The thing is, it wasn't hurting, like it wasn't so intolerable. The problem was that they get more and more and more consistent, more frequent, obviously. And you don't have to fight a contraction. That's what makes your contraction last even longer. So you're supposed to relax while you're in pain. And that's like the hardest thing for your body, for anybody, like for you to relax while you're going through pain. So that was the hardest thing for me. I would literally have a contraction and my husband would just tell me, take a deep breath, relax, and let your breath out. But when you're in pain, it is so hard for you to relax and be like, so that's what you have to do. The natural thing for us to do is fight it. And so the more I fought it, the more the contraction would just stay leveled before it would even go down. So I would just be like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't be relaxed while I'm in pain. So at 8 centimeters, I ended up getting the epidural. I thought to myself, I have no idea when this baby's coming. At that point, I had already been in labor for 24 hours. So once I get the epidural, 12 hours go by and nothing has happened. So literally, had I not gotten the epidural, I would have been 12 hours into all that pain and still no dilating. At that point, at the 36-hour mark, the baby is so tired, his heart rate is starting to drop, and the nurses just tell me, there's no progress at this point. The baby is tired, his heart rate is dropping. Now, granted, the other thing as well was that I had to labor in bed before the epidural, and that messed me up so much because the thing was that his heart rate kept dropping before I got the epidural. He hated the Pitocin. I couldn't even get the dosage of the Pitocin more than 0.5 because his heart rate kept dropping. And so the nurses thought that all of that correlated because I normally don't take medication for anything. I normally do a lot of homeopathic, remedies and things like that. If I'm sick, I only do herbal tea and, things like that. So they thought that the baby was just reacting bad to the medication because my body normally doesn't take strong stuff, right? So there was nothing happened after that. So pretty much at that point, they told us, hey, you can probably be labor for another day. We don't know. You can continue, but we just want to let you know that the baby's heart rate is starting to drop. And the doctor, that's what the nurses had said. Then the doctor said, hey, it's up to you. You can continue or you can go through an emergency C-section. So at that point, I felt really bad for the doctors, for the nurses to tell you that your baby's tired already and there's no progress. I felt so bad to the point that, I was scared and I didn't want a C-section because recovery is horrible, and that's what I had heard, and that is the truth. And so I started crying. It was almost like a mourning type of situation that I had to do really quick because I had to make a hard, selfless decision because I did not want a C-section. I could have said, I was no longer in pain, so I could have said, hey, I'm gonna continue to do this and we'll see. But at that point, we were just so scared that the baby wasn't gonna make it. We had already gotten there to that point that we were already scared about the 37 weeks, that the baby wasn't going to make it. They had told us that if we risked it up to the 40 weeks, we could have a stillborn, and we were not going to risk any of that. And we had already gone through 36 hours of this, and we're like, you know what, we're not going to risk it. We're going to go through this emergency C-section. So it takes about maybe 20-25 minutes to get prepared and go under the knife pretty much. They gave me the option of looking, seeing if the baby be born or whatever, but I decided I wasn't necessarily thinking about him being born. I was thinking more of, I didn't want to see like my body being cut up and stuff like that, and me just be traumatized over that. So they put me under so much medication, honestly, on top of the epidural, and then after that, like, they put you through more medication to go through with the C-section, that by the time the baby was born, I was totally out of it. I started reacting to all that medication, and I wanted to throw up. So I'm on the bed strapped up, because they strap you, and I'm wanting to throw up. And on top of that, I'm out of it. I am so drugged up that I can't even like think correctly. So I am telling them to to let me go, because I need to throw up. And literally, I'm on the bed flat, strapped up, and I can't move to want to throw up. I literally thought I was gonna die, because I needed to throw up, and I thought I was just gonna choke. Like, the nurses and stuff were so busy. I have no idea what they were even doing, but no one was next to me. My husband had already left with the baby. I had told him way in advance before all of this. I had told him, hey, when that baby's born, you follow that baby. Don't worry about me. You follow that baby, and you're with that baby. And so that's what he did. And so I'm strapped up by myself, and so I need to throw up, and I'm literally thinking to myself, I'm gonna die, because I'm gonna choke up on my own vomit and die. Literally, I thought that. And so I literally could barely like move my head around like that, and I just started throwing up. And I think it was just like all the medications, like I said, that was making me super nauseous, and I just threw up. And I'm feeling like a total mess. Now, let me rewind a little bit. When my baby was born, the joy of it, one, again, as I mentioned, I was so drugged up. But the joy of hearing my baby cry, like, I couldn't see him. I hadn't seen him at this point, but I heard him, and it was like the most wonderful, beautiful thing. I can't even explain it, of how cute his cry was. And it made me so happy. I started crying, and my husband was next to me, and he started crying too. And then I guess from the blurriness of everything, I ended up doing cheek to cheek, because they still need to like sew you up and all that stuff, or glue you up, whatever you call it nowadays. And so I guess, to be honest, I don't remember any of this, but I'm just telling you because my husband recorded some of it, and you can see that footage here too. But I ended up doing cheek to cheek, and then afterwards, few minutes later, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, I ended up doing skin to skin with my baby. At that point, my husband had left, and they were waiting for me to be done. Now, he tells me that they waited probably about, I don't know, what feels like maybe 15-20 minutes to them, and he didn't know what was happening with me. They said that I was going to come out right away. Now, in that time, that's when I was like throwing up and all that stuff, and a nurse comes up to him and tells him, hey, it's going to take a little bit longer, she's not feeling well. And so my husband's thinking the worst, obviously, and he's thinking, oh my goodness, like, she's going to die. And he's feeling so scared with this brand newborn, so he's trying to keep it cool, because, this baby is right, on his arms, and he's trying to keep it cool because, he doesn't want to freak out, and then the baby, that's the first thing that the baby sees. So he's trying to keep it cool, but in his mind and everything in him, he just tells me pretty much that he was freaking out because he thought that I was going to die. He didn't know what was happening with me, So I came out, and I was so swollen from all the drugs that they had given me. And I literally look at myself, and I do not look recognizable. Literally, it doesn't look like me. Even for weeks to come after that, I was so swollen and I was drugged up for literally like 2 days. I don't even remember giving my baby food. I don't remember a lot of things. How I nursed him like the first 2 days because I was so drugged up. So literally, if it wasn't for my husband like helping me out and taking care of the baby and things like that, I honestly don't know what I would have done because I don't remember a lot of the things that happened. So, with all that being said, that was my birth story, and I ended up getting a C-section as far as like healing and all that stuff. I do want to make a video about postpartum and how I've been feeling now. But it was tough. I have to say that I don't wish a C-section to anybody because the healing process of a C-section is hard. So yeah, that's been a lot of my recovery story. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment box below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on my next video.